Hey guys, this is Ben with Tilmor, and today we are going to go over changing the wheel spacing on the front end of your Tilmor 520 tractor. First though, what you're going to want to do, make sure the battery is disconnected with the battery disconnect switch. Make sure your parking brake is on. Make sure you're on a good level surface when you jack up, everything's stable. You're going to want to suspend the front of your tractor, get the wheels up off the ground. Here we're basically jacking up in the center of the tractor, and I have my jack stands set under the front hitch. If you're using a hydraulic jack, always make sure there's a jack stand under it. If that hydraulic fails, jack fails, at least the jack stands will catch it before it falls on you. So basically, before we get started though, everything that I'm pulling from is in your operator's manual. I would recommend reading over that, reading through it, because there's a lot of words, it gets a little tricky, but if you have this for reference, you guys will definitely be able to figure it out. So our tractors all come stock at 50 inches. Unless you have purchased it at a set wheel spacing, then we set it to whatever you want it to. But basically, I'll just show you how we check to see actually what the wheel spacing is, and that is done from, basically we're going to measure from the center of this tire to the center of this tire. If you have a wide wheel spacing, you're going to need help, and if your wingspan is not 50 inches. So I hold that end of the tape in the center of the wheel and that end of the tape in the center of the wheel, and we come up with 50 inches on center. So that's how we get our wheel spacing. We can check it to see what it is, but it's also a good check after you get it all put back together. That way you know you're right. That way you don't go out in the field and run over plants because you thought you were one wheel spacing, you're actually another. Another thing that I want to point out is we do 4-inch increments on our spacing. Each hole in our manuals, each hole is 2 inches. So right here, this one's 50 inches. This is technically 2 inches wider, but if you go 2 inches on this side and 2 inches on this side, you get your 4 inches. So when I do it, I count each hole as 4 inches because I know I'm going to go to the other side and do it. Today, this customer ordered it at 70-inch wheel spacing, so we'll just count by 4s, and we'll go out here to, we'll get out the 70. So we know this one's 50, 54, 58, 62, 66, 70, and 74. So the very outside hole is 74. And you ask, as you're reading through this, you see, okay, well, there's 74 and there's 78. For the front axle, the very outside hole, it is good for the 74-inch rear spacing and the 78-inch rear spacing. The front is at 74. This front wheel rides on the inside of the wheel at 74-inch, and if this one's at 74, it rides on the outside of the wheel as 78 inches. So when these are clear wide and as wide as they go, they account for the 74 and the 78-inch rear spacing. So after you got it all set up, you know which spacing you're going to, we know which hole does what, we will disassemble it and get to changing the spacing. Basically what we're doing is there's 3 bolts that hold this wheel on. There's these 2 here, and there's 1 on the inside. You're going to need to remove those 3 and also remove that one so your tie rod will slide out with it. When I do it, I always try to take this one out first. That way I'm not under the tractor when I'm undoing the last bolt. If something would happen to fall, it won't smash you, pinch you, or whatever. Another note, when you suspend it and pick it up off the ground, make sure you need the front wheels to be able to spin. They need to be free, but you do not want them really high in the air, because when you remove this side, that side is the heaviest side, and this front axle will sometimes teeter and go like that. So closer you can get them, keep them to the ground, the better, the safer it is. So we'll go ahead and we'll remove this bolt and we'll remove those 3. We'll slide it out in the right spacing. there is a washer on both sides of the bolt, just like that. All right, and once I unbolt this one, the wheel will be loose, but when you unbolt it, it does actually rest down on here, so it shouldn't fall. It could, but it should not. So just be careful, don't get under it when you're doing it. That bolt is actually going to be stuck in there. So as we determined before, we want to go to the 70-inch wheel spacing. We counted it out. We want that very outside bolt to come to this second to last hole. You're going to have to, you just kind of pick it up, and as you pick up, the other wheel will hit the ground. It just kind of floats in there. You want to pick it up and get that bolt out of there. And then all should slide out. And if it doesn't slide out, you can just turn the wheel and we can adjust it later. So let's go ahead and get a bolt in it. Okay, got one bolt in it. It's secure enough that it won't fall on us. Now, what we can do, we can take a small chisel and a hammer. If we just put this, drive that in there like that, it should open it up enough that we should be able to pound this out. So the same, each little indent here is 2 inches. So one thing I like to do, we know that our last bolt started here, so we're coming out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this was it, so we'll count out and we'll be in the 5th one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, let's turn our wheel. One, 2, 3, 4, and the 5th one should be right there. I like to put that bolt in it. It should go in fairly easy. You might have to tap it in there just like that. So kind of got that secured. Let's go ahead and put our other bolts on. There's 3 bolts. 2 bolts are always on the outside. You always want 2 on the outside, 1 on the inside. And there again, when I picked up this side, that side hit the ground, so I was able to manipulate it to be able to get the bolts through the holes. All of our torque specs are located in our operator's manual. And let's put our last one in. There again, let's just pick up here, and it should twist down. Lines right up. Go ahead and tighten them up. Straighten our wheel just to make sure everything looks correct. So before we get this bolt and we tighten it up, we're going to want to check the toe. but there will be another video on how to check the toe, how to center the steering wheel. But that is how you set the spacing on the front wheel. And after you check the toe, you'll go ahead and tighten this bolt up. So on this tractor, you'll want to go and you'll want to repeat what we did here on the other side. Check your toe, and after your toe is set, go ahead and you'll tighten this bolt up. Once again, there's torque specs in our owner's manual, and there you go. That's setting the wheel spacing on the front end of our Tilmor 520 tractor. If there's anything else you guys want to see, got questions, got things you need help with, please reach out. We're here to help. Appreciate it. Thank you guys for all the business.